Oh. And it's on.
Hi, everyone. Welcome to the September meeting of the Brookline Park and Recreation Commission. My name is Clara Batchelor. I'm the chair of the committee, and we have Mealy and Tim, and I will let them introduce themselves.
Hi, everyone. This is Mealy Pradhan, Parks and Open Space Director.
Good evening, everybody. Tim Davis, Director of Recreation.
Terrific. Sometimes we have a bigger attendance than we do right now, but we'll keep going. And so the first, before we go to the minutes, I would just like to remind people that at the beginning, after we approve the minutes, there is an opportunity for public comment related to any park and recreation topic that's not listed on the agenda for public comment. You will have a maximum of 2 minutes to share your comments. If you do not have the opportunity to speak during the allotted time, please submit your comments in writing to the Park and Recreation Commission at Park and Rec Commission, all one word, at brooklinema.gov. Okay, now we'll go back to the beginning of the agenda and get there. All right, I hope everyone has had a chance to read the minutes. I don't know, Jessica, I had one comment. I didn't hear back from Lori about the Jim. It had Jim Carroll ... Did anybody change that?
Yeah, I fixed it, and also Jean had that on hers too, and I fixed all of Jean's comments, so we're all set.
Terrific. So do I have a motion to accept the minutes?
This is Jane. I'm happy to make a motion to accept the minutes. Thank you.
Thank you, Jane. Do I have a second?
I'll second that.
Seconded by Lauren Bernard. Okay, I'm going to call people's names as I see you on the screen. And Debbie, I've been practicing your last name. Debbie Hatziel, but I have to see it bigger. Hatziel Leftheriadis.
Beautiful. Good job.
How do you vote?
Yes. Here.
Thank you.
Yeah.
No, you have to vote for them. We're voting on the minutes. Do you
Oh,
vote?
yes. Thank you. Sorry.
And you were at the last meeting, even though you weren't voting. Lauren?
Aye.
Michael?
Aye.
Jane?
Aye.
Teresa?
Aye.
And I vote aye. For those noticing, Carol Caro is the one commissioner who's not here, and she did let me know she wasn't coming. So the minutes have been approved. Any public comment on matters not on the agenda?
Looks like we have about 13 people in the Zoom room. If anybody would like to make a public comment, please use the raise hand feature and we can promote you to speak. And I am not seeing any.
Okay, thank you very much. Okay, currently we're going to now have a presentation, discussion, and public hearing on the and then we'll vote as a commission on the fiscal year 2026 capital improvement plans for Park and Open Space Division and the Recreation Department.
Sorry,
So,
Sarah.
yeah.
Just to make a correction, this is for fiscal year 2027.
Okay.
Not 2026.
Okay, 2027. Thank you. And do you want to do your presentation, Mealy, and before we open the public meeting, or is your presentation part of the public meeting? I don't know.
To be part of the public meeting.
Right.
Okay, so then I think we have to officially open the public meeting.
Correct.
And so we do that by just stating this is a public meeting, and which is now open. And we'll have Mealy start, and then Tim, if you have things you want to discuss as well. So
Sounds good.
you two should take it away.
Okay, great. I will attempt to share my screen. Give me just a second. Let's see.
And I should remind people we did hear about this last time. So Mili's presentation will be a little bit shorter than her last one.
Okay, you all should be able to see my screen right now, correct?
Correct.
Okay, great. Again, good evening, everyone. Mili Pradhan, Director of Parks and Open Space. And as Clara mentioned, this is the second presentation for our capital improvement projects. And we had our first and more comprehensive presentation done last time in August. We're hoping, that today during this public hearing, we can go through the presentation, answer any questions from the commissioners and the members of the public, and hope to get a vote from the commission. I'll briefly describe the process as next steps. Once we get the vote from the commission, we will then submit all these CIP projects along with the budgets to the town administrator's office for consideration. In their office, they will be looking at all the other CIP requests and the budget, and, they will provide the final recommendation, which will go through the public process, and it'll go through advisory committee and will ultimately be voted by the select board and then at the town meeting. So with having said that, I'll just move through my presentation. So today's agenda, as Clara mentioned again, that this will be a very brief version of last time. We will go through what the capital project criteria is and what the process is on our end for the capital planning. And we'll go through the presentation of proposed parks and school ground projects. They'll then, I'd imagine then we would go through Tim's presentation for recreation. Then we'll do the public hearing and discussion and vote. So what is considered as a capital project criteria? What is a capital project is one of the questions we get asked all the time, and it can be several things. Firstly, it's a lot of the times construction or reconstruction, renovation, or replacement of public building or facility. But in our Parks and Open Space Division's case, it's usually our parks and playground spaces. It could also include feasibility design studies for capital projects. And it could also include major capital equipment items. It could include long-range development plans, like master plans, or it could be any project or study that could cost around $25,000. Typically, when thinking about what projects could go in the CIP, we assess multiple things. So first thing we think about is safety, accessibility, an overall assessment of the site. We typically have our landscape architects and also third-party CPSI inspectors come in and look at our playgrounds to make sure that safety and accessibility is up to date. We also look at the different maintenance, and conditions of the park. We typically spend quite a bit of energy and resource every year to ensure that every playground equipment or our public spaces are being maintained so that we get the most life out of it. We then look into the capital improvement plan development, which we kind of dovetails with the preliminary cost estimates, and we typically do the cost estimates based on the program that we know that the site will need. So the cost estimate is where I'll spend a little bit more time today. Because that is an important question when it goes to CIP, the cost, what is the budget, is a fairly important question. And to do that, our landscape architects, again, prepare a detailed and thorough cost estimate based on some of the recent, costs that we're seeing in our recent projects, and also based on all the other elements that we more or less like no will be part of the project. So we look at things like site preparation, like demolition, and how much earthwork that needs to be done. Like some projects are fairly flat, whereas some projects have a lot of up and down and needs a significant amount of earth moving. Then we think about like what are the walls, fencing, railing requirements that or needs for the project. And site furnishings, like how many roughly like what type of site furnishings do we need in the project, and also looking at like paving and surfacing. Does it have a parking lot or is it just a pathway? So we take all these into consideration. Then typically site utilities is a huge part of all our projects, like which includes typically site, drainage and including all the piping and structures. And it also includes like storm utility lines. And, in some projects, we do also have splash pads. So all that is also looked at. And depending on the project as well, like play equipment or sports field is a huge part of project, and when it is present, like it takes up a significant amount of budget. And in almost all of our project, the plants, existing trees are a really important aspect of the project that we take into consideration. For instance, if there are existing trees, we look at is there a tree that's dead or hazard, or does it need structural pruning and invasive removal, and also thinking about, okay, what are now the new generation of trees and plants we want to put in. So with that said, like that kind of context, I want to dive right into our fiscal year 27 to 2032 projects, and I will be focusing this time mostly on the FY27 projects. So this here is our big spreadsheet that shows all the projects from fiscal year 26 to 32. And 26, just a reminder that it's already been appropriated during the town meeting earlier in spring. We're specifically focusing on 2027. And here on the left, you'll see all the projects, and anything that's highlighted in green are the ones that are under fiscal year 27. So as you can see, we have a couple of projects that are more of our recurring projects, which I'll dive into in a little bit, like Big Belly, Comfort Station, Parks and Playground, and tree removal and replacement, like our urban forestry management. And the actual capital projects for parks is Sewell Playground and Athletic Fields and Walnut Hills Cemetery. And again, Walnut Hills Cemetery, as a reminder, does not fall under Parks and Recreation Commission's jurisdiction, and neither does Urban Forestry Management, but it is here just to show everyone the holistic picture. And I will talk about schools separately towards the end. So some of the recurring elements that we have in our capital improvement projects are parks and playgrounds, Comfort Station, where we do periodic, accessibility, structural, and ventilation improvements. We also look at improvements over time for different elements of the Comfort Station, and sometimes like it's a little bit more complex, like there might be some structural upgrades needed, but typically, think about like doors, ventilation, floors, replacement of toilets, sink, lighting, and so forth. The next recurring item that we have in our projects in our CIP is Parks and Playground rehab and upgrade. And this is a very, all these are like very important elements to ensure that, as I had mentioned earlier, to get the most life of our public spaces, right? So with a routine maintenance, like it helps to stretch that life, and it helps us to get to more projects around town. So Parks and Playground is specifically focused on repair, replacement, and improvement related to any non-compliant play structures or deteriorating elements, fence or fields, or any associated elements and services. And similar to that, town and school ground rehabilitation, there's at times a lot of ongoing structural improvements or drainage improvements or, again, field improvements that we do. And, sometimes we also spend that funds to create functional landscapes like planting and hardscape improvements. Then the other recurring item on our CIP is tennis courts and basketball courts. The town does have, a good number of basketball courts, 19 basketball courts and 36 hard surface tennis courts. So all of these need recurring maintenance in terms of sometimes resurfacing the courts, sometimes, lighting or any drainage improvements. So, based on what the needs are, we look at everything. So just diving into the specifics, the Big Belly trash and recycling receptacles, the Big Belly is the brand we use all over the town. And, this originally came out of the town's rat mitigation plan and an effort to control that. So what we're doing is that every year with the funding, we're slowly swapping out the open top trash cans with the Big Belly. So having a closed cans is helping contributing to some extent with the rat mitigation. The next larger CIP item on our fiscal year 27 is SUL Recreation, where for FY27 we're be requesting a 1.1 million of design fee, and the project really includes several things. First of all, to really ensure that there's improved site accessibility, ensuring that we have new play equipment and safety surfacing for ages 2 to 5 years and 5 to 12 years. There's an existing splash pad at SUL, which we will be replacing with a new one. Then also looking at the overall roadway parking and drainage improvements. And, we'll also be looking into renovating the existing tennis courts, the synthetic and natural field. And also, as I mentioned, looking at overall tree planting. So here, just sharing some of the images of the playground area, which is, again, at the end of its useful life, and, it will be great to have replaced over the next few years. Similar to that, some of the existing images here you see of the fields, which is, again, in need of repair. And overall, circulation, roadway circulation and pedestrian circulation that really needs uplift as well. And Walnut Hill Cemetery, as I mentioned, is another item on our FY27 budget this year. We're requesting a 600,000 budget to look at the roadway and drainage improvements throughout the cemetery. This is a diagram that shows the conditions of all the roadway at Walnut Hill. And, Walnut Hill, because it's in South Brookline, even if it's a cemetery, even if it's not under Park and Rec, it's a very beloved space that, the local residents use, as kind of walking space. So it's really important that, we look into fixing some of the roadways that are specifically in poor condition and making sure that any drainage associated with that is also upgraded. So our focus is going to be targeting the poor condition, roadway in poor condition, and and try to get as much as the ones that are in moderate condition. Here you can see over the past few years, we've tried to go in and do some patchwork, but really it's in a really tough situation at some places. So overall, as a big picture for parks, before we dive into schools, you can see FY28, we're going to be requesting budget for SUL construction funding. We have Riverway Park. We have New Lincoln School construction dollars, and I'll talk about the New Lincoln School design dollars in a bit. For FY27, we have a couple of items. We have Lars Anderson, Hayes School, Harry Downs, Track and Field, and Winthrop. 2030, we have again several playgrounds, including Boylston, Coolidge, and Juniper and Winthrop Square, Riverway Park, and D. Blakely Hoare Pathway design dollars. Sorry, I should. And then for FY31, we have again Coolidge Playground construction dollars, D. Blakely Hoare Pathway construction, and Skyline Playground, Baker School, Lawton, and finally 2032, we have Lars Anderson, Lawton, Baldwin, and Longwood and Lawrence School. So as I mentioned, moving into school grounds capital projects. So we have assessed overall, looked at like when all the schools in the town were built and which schools are in the most need of renovation. So based on that, like you can see that like Lincoln, New Lincoln School, Baker School were some of the, older schools. Like Hayes School had been done, went through some renovation throughout the years, but the landscape like on the outside was not renovated. And similarly, Baldwin and Lawrence are, fairly older as well. But recently renovated school or under construction right now, Ridley is fairly new, our Driscoll School is fairly new, and Pierce, as we all know, is under construction. So for FY27 specifically, we're requesting the design dollars for New Lincoln School grounds. And for we will come back again in FY28 for the construction dollar. Then in FY29, we will have Hayes School. 31, we have Baker School. And 32, we have Baldwin and Hayes School. So New Lincoln School, just spending a brief amount of time in this, the school is really in need of renovations in its like natural grass fields. And the playground equipments are really at hanging in by a thin thread because everything is like really at the end of its useful life. We really need to consider an expanded playground for ages 2 to 5 years old, and making sure that like there's accessible pathway throughout. One of the playgrounds there is like not accessible from the exterior and is only accessible from the inside. So we want to change that and upgrade that. We're also going to be looking at the resilient playground surfacing for both playgrounds, and also looking at the accessible renovating the basketball court. One of the major challenges in the school is really drainage and erosion. And, we have gone back, last year and done some mini improvements, which has helped quite a bit, but really like it needs to be thought of holistically into the design and come up with a solution. So again, like here, you can see a few images of the playground equipment where it's, it's functioning, but still at the same time, like it's really at the end of its life and really needs, improvements. Similar to this, like you can see the field conditions, like as I mentioned, you can see the erosion like really evident here in the fields and, the basketball court in not the best shape either. Spending again like brief time on Hayes School, like overall Hayes School, is also, so this will be a recurring story you'll see in each of the schools that I go through, that it needs like grass field renovations, new playground equipment with safety surfacing. Hayes has a basketball court that we would look to renovate as well, and making sure that there's accessible pathway throughout the grounds and repaving of the parking and drop-off areas. So this is again slated for FY29. Baker School, similarly, one of our other schools where drainage and accessibility and erosion is a huge issue that we really need to, again, step back and look at holistically and come up with some great strategies. And along with that, we'd also be renovating the natural grass fields and also looking at new playground equipment for all ages, along with the safety surfacing, and also renovating the basketball courts. As part of this project, we are also looking to study and provide an accessible pathway from this upper parking lot down to the tennis court, which the tennis court was renovated, but the accessibility is only happens through the roundabout and the street below. And Longwood and Lawrence Playground, similar to other schools, renovation of the grass fields, playground equipments for all ages, along with the safety surfacing, basketball court, and ensuring that we have accessible pathway throughout the grounds. And in this case, also renovating the 3 tennis courts that is currently present there. And Baldwin Playground, we'll be looking at renovating the playground equipment along with safety surfacing and providing upgraded accessible pathways and new fencing and gates. And that's it from my end. Tim, would you like to go through your presentation first?
I would, thank you. All right, 1 second, please. So my presentation is shorter, admittedly, like we spoke about last month. We are fortunate to benefit much of what Parks does. Much of our programming and services happens within the parks and facilities of Parks and Open Space. So we are right there next to Millie as she goes through all that. But we do have a small set of needs our own, which I will run through right now. So there will be, there it is, one update kind of as a follow-up for you all based on our last conversation. And I'll just get into that real quick. So one of the things that we've been talking about for the past year has to do with the pool, not so much the dehumidification system, but it has to do with just general renovations of the space. It was brought up last year and then it was brought up once again this year about the renovation of the locker rooms as well as the offices and some restroom pieces. When I presented that over the last couple of months, it was brought to my attention that a similar project had been done. I admittedly, transparently was not aware of it. My aquatics director was not aware of it at all. It seemed to have been something that lived in the prior administration. But over the past month, we did meet with buildings and we met with our custodial staff on site and were able to pull that a similar project was done. A similar project was funded through the town, albeit not completely in the amount that was needed. However, some of the things that we were looking to address were recently addressed. So in good faith and in good conscience, we really couldn't ask for that again. And we are going to do some repairs and some fixes on our own in conjunction with the building department, as well as working with our aquatic center, obviously, which we will get into later this meeting with our shutdown that is looming later this fall and winter. So with that base, compared to last month's meeting, what has been pulled out, and this has been vetted and approved by the building department as well as town administration, that will be pulling out the feasibility study and then the locker room and office renovations as it pertains to the capital project proposed for the pool. So that's about 800,000 that will not be existing on this vote as it was presented last month. So moving on from that, there's a couple pieces to this. Again, we don't have as much of a long range right now as Millie would, just because we operate in a much more confined spaces with buildings and just rec facilities. But top two that we have going on currently in this fiscal year, just as a review, is our driving range improvements, adding lights to the driving range. I'll get to a slide in that shortly to explain more about that. That is coming out of the retained earnings, the enterprise fund of the golf course, so no effect to taxpayers or operational funds. And then the outdoor pool study that we've been talking about for some time now, that will commence in the spring, late winter, and spring to get that done. Beyond that will be the filter rooms, which is the biggest ticket item here. The filters of the aquatic center, the indoor pool that we currently have, are in need of replacement. So that is our biggest ticket item at 3.2 million. And then we do have 2 CPA projects that we will be proposing, not this coming year, but the following, up at Sewell. We do have a gymnasium that we use at the Sewell Center, and then also a feasibility study for the clubhouse and parking lot of the golf course. So just to jump into the two CPA projects first, so that a little background on that. So as Millie mentioned, her focus is going to be on the parks and open space around the building. Sewell is the preschool that is operated by the Recreation Department. So it's a functional school, and attached to that up the hill, not attached, but right up the hill, neighboring it on the same site and run by our department is a gymnasium at Sewell. This gymnasium is not full-sized, is much smaller, very far from being full-sized, but still very active. And for many years, we've been looking at the site to see, do we have the space, do we have the capacity to renovate that space, to make it a full-size gym, to help alleviate and meet the need that our programming has in the recreation department, as well as the youth and town programming needs when it comes to indoor gym space. So again, speaking with the building department and looking at the scope of work, we'll be putting a CPA application in FY28 for $100,000 to study that site. And see if it is feasible based on where it is with the topography and geography of it, and our limits of our border of that plot of land. So that application will go in, again, not this coming town meeting, but the following, so FY28. And then additionally, we are going to be going for a study for the clubhouse and the parking lot of the golf course. Currently, we are doing construction on the course itself, as well as the neighboring woods. But we also recognize that the clubhouse itself has structural needs. As the course becomes much more populated and busy season after season, month after month, we are looking to address, again, the structural issues, outdoor spaces for best use, and just general overall condition. There's a lot of unknowns about the clubhouse that we need to know, everything from not having additional footprints and blueprints of the building to really looking at the foundation under the ground and below the patio and whatnot. And then additionally, again, looking at the parking lot. As of now, if you've ever been over to the golf course at peak hours, the parking is not suitable for the crowds that it attracts. So we have run into it this summer specifically, much too often, where the parking lot is at capacity, and then you have folks trying to park on West Roxbury Parkway or in the neighborhoods and cross those busy streets. So we know there's space that can be used to expand. It's just a matter of how we want to do that and positioning of it. So we'll be going for an application once again as well in FY28. From there, as I just mentioned, one of the projects that is in the pipeline for this current fiscal year is the driving range, putting lights on the driving range to extend the hours of use. The driving range is a key to funding the golf course to make it a self-sufficient operation. And adding lights will only make that easier, especially in the fall time when sunset starts becoming around 4 o'clock, 4:30, just at the start of November. The cost of that for the lights is $300,000. That is a quote that we've received from Musco Lighting, who would be doing this work. Again, this is a enterprise funded project, so already in our retained funds. Projection, again, of income coming in, we project at least $200,000 additional to the golf course with the use of that driving range. And then I did want to make note that Justin, our general manager of the golf course, myself and Mike Murphy, superintendent, have been meeting on this already. And we plan to come to the commission in October to make our first presentation on this. Our plans for public hearings, as we want to be completely transparent and above board on everything we do with this, and present to you our timeline and our thoughts on that to answer additional questions with more detail. But again, that will be hopefully this coming fiscal year for that construction. And then, like as mentioned, as we've talked about at length, the feasibility study, the outdoor feasibility study for $85,000, that money is already, it's again out of the recreation retained accounts, out of our revolving account. That money has been encumbered, that's ready to spend. We are already starting the process loosely on our end, starting to gather quotes or companies so that we can gather quotes once we think it's time. So late winter, early spring is when that study is hopeful to go. Obviously, this commission will have a hand in that much more in detail, but we are prepared to do that this fiscal year to get that done. Part of that study will be to give us some estimates of costs so that we can build that out if this is the direction the town chooses to go. As it sits right now, estimates are around 10 million for actual construction. But again, that will all depend on where a location is identified, and what what the construction entails. So our biggest project that's on the CIP right now is the filtration system replacement. Again, summing up well so a study has already been done. Just to put that out there again, engineering study was completed for the filtration systems at the same time as dehumidification was. So that is already in hand, and the price with escalation that we have from the building department through that study is 3.2 million. As stated here on the screen, that's coming straight from that report. The pool equipment and its operation is keeping up with the current demands, but the systems have code infringements and functionality issues that may develop into larger, more serious issues as the systems continue to age. So as we see it, as our goal is over the years, since I started a year and a half ago, is our focus is to take care of the assets we have, and this being a big one when it comes to the pool. I know we've been giving a lot of attention to the pool, just like we have the golf course, but these things are in dire need. So again, speaking with Amanda and her team, as well as the building department, this is priority number one right now for the recreation department. And that's all I had. And so at this time, if anybody has questions, Millie and I are happy to answer.
I just have a couple clarification questions. The Walnut Hill Cemetery, the $600,000, is that money for paving, or is that just to develop construction documents?
That's for paving and drainage
And
and
you'll just
any related information that we might have to provide. But it will most likely be not likely going to be a design build sort of situation. We have not exactly determined that yet.
And you'll just do as many roads and drainage as the
Exactly.
money allows.
Exactly, that's the goal.
Okay, thank you. And my only other question is the golf course building. Why is that not out of the enterprise fund since it's part of the golf course?
That's a conversation I think that goes back to the previous CPAs. I think there'll be appetite for matching. I just don't know if at this time the retained earnings can withhold that much or be able to pay that much. So I think it'll be a exercise in matching funds for CPA is what we're planning.
Okay, so we have two hands raised. Lauren, you had your up first?
Thank you. Millie, maybe would you mind putting back on the screen the original spreadsheet of the school playgrounds and what they would
Yeah.
cost? Because I something kind of piqued my interest, and I just want to ask the question in a way that other people will understand.
Give me just a second.
Sure.
Okay, you should be able to see my screen now.
So I'm puzzled
Mhm.
why the Hayes playground costs so much. Because it's pretty small. I'm just curious. Is it the nature of the
Yeah,
equipment? And
yeah.
because especially, and my other question, I mean, it's related, is I saw that Lars Anderson Playground it looks like it's going to be done in two parts, but this was more expensive than like part one or two
Yeah.
of Lars, and Lars is far bigger,
Yeah. So I can talk through that. So Hayes
Thanks.
School, again, we're not only doing the playground, we're going to do, renovate everything on the outside.
Yeah.
So, there's again like a significant drainage, like not so much drainage, but mostly erosion issues there that we needs to be addressed. And there's, quite a bit of parking lot spaces and, a little bit of the internal roadway spaces and exterior spaces. So, just beyond the playground, just renovating the grass fields and renovating the courts and, all the other parking and drop-off and pathways. So that's where the estimate landed. And, this also currently is a lump sum of both design and construction dollars. So right now we have not broken this out similar to what we did for New Lincoln School. But again, as we near FY29, we will likely break this out because we've been again communicated through the sixth floor that they like to see things broken up. So that was the reason why you were seeing a little bit larger number with Hayes.
And lastly, I mean, people, commissioners who've been on the commission for a while are probably sick to death of my asking this, but I renew my concern. Are we using the same surfacing for this playground that we're used, like say we used at the FR playground? Because it just keeps coming. I mean, I would really love for us to find, I know there aren't a million choices. I know there are very few choices, but I feel like what we're putting down in these playgrounds is it doesn't last. When it gets heated, it peels up. And also, I mean, allegedly, like there are fumes. It's not safe. We don't know how safe it is. I mean, I think in Cambridge they've gone back to wood chips, which I know present their own problems. But I'm just wondering, have we found another product, or we have? Oh.
Yes, absolutely. And, once we know that a certain product doesn't work, we constantly are updating things based on the experiences and, what we've seen. That, as I understand, was also a very specific issue because of the mix that was used. So, we're constantly looking into things and finding ways to, improve in the next projects.
Okay. Just wondering.
Yeah.
Thanks. I appreciate it. Thank you.
Of course.
Good
Thanks,
presentation.
Laura. And the next hand that was raised was Teresa.
Sure. Thank you. Thank you for the presentation, Millie and Tim. I think that was really helpful to see everything laid out. I'll start with just for a couple of parks related questions. I think the first is stemming from Lauren's last question. Why is it on the parks budget to repave parking lots at schools?
So, again, because it is part of the overall design and renovation, right? So we have to consider, when we're redesigning the park, we have to look at the design in a holistic way, because, parking lot relates to circulation and, the day-to-day functions of the vehicular circulation and pedestrian circulation is directly tied. So when we look at the design of the project, we look at everything outside of the building footprint in a very holistic way. And specifically when there are projects where we have to address drainage concern, if we don't do the parking lot, then, it again, does not become a holistic strategy. So, when we go through these exterior renovation, it is, the best to just, look at everything and renovate everything that is needed at once so that we don't have to, go back and forth and do patchwork, if that makes sense.
We don't share that cost at all with the schools.
No, this is anything of the outside the building is all parks.
Oh, okay.
Yeah.
Okay. And then about Sewell, are you envisioning it's going to be a full redesign similar to what we're doing?
Exactly. Yeah.
Okay, that's helpful to hear. And then the last question I had, I guess just more out of curiosity, very impressive that we're planning 8 years ahead. My kids will no longer even be at Lawrence, I feel like, in 2033. That's a very long ways away. I'm curious, so we plan recreation just annually, is that right? And then for some reason we're planning 8 years out for our parks. What's the
Yeah, for parks and open space, it's more of a long range planning, because again, as we as part of our CIP process, we do go through each of our open spaces and assess things. So in that assessment, it partially helps us to understand, okay, what do we need to maintain, the short term to, get the most out of, most life out of each of our spaces. And second of all, because again, as you know, like CIP processes takes a long time, to get through. And even once we get through, we cannot like implement the projects immediately. So which is why like that long-term strategic planning like helps us to determine, when something might come into implementation and how much resources we should be, providing to do minor upgrades.
And I'll also add, not that it's an excuse, but a year and a half ago when I came in, there was no CIP on the table for rec. So we are building it. We're approaching that point, like Millie's talking about, of a long range, maybe not to the point of parks. But as we're finishing projects that we're fortunate that were in the works, we're able to now look ahead and see what we need to do in the future of where we're looking to take this department. So this year looked different than last year, and my assumption and hope is that even next year's CIP is going to look much different than this one, given that we're having even more time to plan ahead. So.
Great, thank you.
Thanks. Jane, raise your hand next.
Thank you. I actually have a few questions. I'll try to be brief. I did have the same question that Teresa had about the parking lot regarding the schools. It just seems strange that parking lots are now part of a park and rec budget, but that's me. So I'm going to let that one go. But the other thing I would like to know is the roadways within Walnut Hill. I know that Clara asked about that. Is it roadways only that we're looking at that? And if it's roadways, are those also coming from the Park and Rec budget?
It is coming out of the, again, the general CIP budget for the town. But, part of that, again, like this is going to be a discussion that we do with Melissa Goff on where exactly the funds are going to come from, because there are several like trust funds for the Walnut Hill Cemetery, and it will be part of that discussion with them, with the town administrator, on how exactly it will be divided. So it's not determined yet, is the answer, Jane.
Okay, thank you for that. So like if we're approving this, are we approving it? Like I'm a little confused as to what we're even approving then. Are we? Yeah, go ahead, please.
Right, you'll be approving, the actual project, I would say.
The overall project, okay.
Yeah.
Okay. And then Tim, my question for you is on the golf course. You mentioned something about, where there's parking and, whatever. Can you be more specific about what you're referring to on the parking on the golf course?
So we know we have the space. It's just a matter of how we do it. There's a lot of rock, there's a lot of ledge that is around the parking lot. So it's looking at reorganizing the spaces, restriping the spaces to make it safer and to make best use of the lot, just as much as it is looking at a potential expansion of how we can literally expand the footprint of the parking lot to fit more cars.
So it wouldn't be the part behind the fence where there's that temporary shed or whatever that shed
Right,
is.
so that's the yard. Yeah, I mean that's the superintendent's yard. So I think partially some of that, moving it back more, but also if you can picture down by that fence, there is that big rock ledge going up that kind of cuts the parking lot short, as if you were going out the secondary entrance.
So you're talking about blasting in an area that's close to a conservation area, is that correct? I mean, because there is a waterway through there.
I'm not putting my name to anything, but it's something that we're looking at.
So if we're approving that, what are we approving exactly? Because that to me,
it's just more so support. I mean, we have to go through the CPA application process. We're not approving funding or anything like that. That's more of a, we're going through the application process in 2 years, so we'll have more time to look into it.
So I wasn't on the commission when the golf master plan was approved, but there were a lot of things in there. Pickleball courts, lights, and things like that. And there was the promise of neighborhood involvement. When is that going to happen?
In what sense? Overall?
Yeah, I mean, if these things are kind of moving forward with a budget plan, when will we involve the neighborhood in some of these things?
We would, once we are confident that they're going to be moving forward, absolutely. Similar to the lights, that there's going to be a full public process on that. So we're not looking to do any of this in a vacuum at all. No.
So we're approving a budget for something that might not move forward? Yeah, I just want to be clear what we're approving.
Yeah, I mean, I guess arguably that's one way of looking at it. But again, this is more of an intention to apply, how do I want to say this? It's our intention to apply for CPA funds and go through that funding process where we would have this project would be vetted, significantly. So I wouldn't say tonight, if you're approving it, it's going to be approved and it's going to happen. It's more so, I think, more of an FYI that this is our plan to go forward to CPA, not as a budgetary or putting it on the actual town's operational CIP. If that makes sense. I don't know if that's an agreeable point or whatnot, but that's just how I'm seeing it. But I can be persuaded.
And so Clara asked this as well. It's like, why are these things not part of the Golf Enterprise Fund? Because like I keep hearing, the restaurant goes into the Golf Enterprise Fund, the driving range goes into the Golf Enterprise Fund. I get all that, but then why is the Enterprise not fund also doing these things? Like, why is this CPA project?
Well,
yeah.
No, I was gonna say from our perspective, it's capacity of how much we have in that fund with retained earnings. We don't necessarily have enough to do these projects of what we're taking in and holding on to. So we're looking for additional support on top of what we're able to fund out of that account.
Tim and Jane, I hate to interrupt, but Tim is talking about the Community Preservation Act projects, and we're still in a public hearing for the CIP projects.
But I'm hearing both.
I know. So I'm questioning, Tim, why I have you doing the
it's
I
confusing.
apologize.
We're supposed to be approving the CIP, and I feel like, and maybe I'm hearing it wrong, and I'm happy to say that I am, but I'm also hearing CPA, so I'm getting confused of like, what are we actually approving?
No, that's why I'm saying, Tim, we should not be talking about CPA projects right
That's my
now.
fault. Yep, that's my fault.
Because I should have stopped you sooner, but because we are having a public meeting on a public hearing, sorry, on the capital improvement plan. And
So
then the next order of business is the Community Preservation Act plan. So Tim, let's not even forget what you heard. I'm sorry to say this about the CPA projects, because we're not supposed to be talking about those yet.
I take responsibility for that. That's my fault.
And then you go back and like, when it's the CIP, we're not really approving anything for the golf course, correct?
Correct.
Okay. Because you did.
And so, Tim, can you just tell us, to clarify, what on your list comes under CIP, not CPA, but the capital improvement plan? What on your list came to the capital improvement plan?
For future CIP, it's the filters, the pool filtration system.
Okay, that's what I thought I heard, Tim, and I'm sorry. I just
No.
got very confused when the two things were being mingled, and then it was like, well, we're moving things forward, but like we haven't had process, so that's where I was going. So thank you for clarifying. It's the pool. Makes total sense.
Yeah,
thank you.
Jane, thanks for raising those questions, because yes. So we are talking about CIP projects now. And so Debbie has patiently had her hand up.
No, it was about the golf course, so I will save that.
So let's concentrate on the CIP. We'll vote. We're going to have public comment on that. We're going to close the public hearing, then we're going to vote, and then we'll go back to the CPA projects. Sorry about that, gang.
Okay.
All right. So do any other commissioners have questions about the CIP projects, capital improvement projects? Seeing none, are there people from the community that I see? Sarah has her hand raised. I'm going to let Millie and Tim recognize the public for these, again, CIP only.
Sarah, you should be able to unmute yourself. Please state your name and address and, make your brief comment, please.
Hi, thank you all. It's nice to see you this evening. My name is Sarah Pagliaccio. For those of you I haven't met, I'm a mom of a 4th grader at Lincoln School, and I'm the chair of the Green Team at Lincoln as well. As Miley said, Lincoln's grounds are in desperate need of a major overhaul. We had a previous budget line item. Maybe a lot of you folks probably know this better than I do. We had a line item in the previous CIP to start design in FY26, but those funds were reallocated to the school committee to meet the budget shortfall for this school year. I've inquired about the possibility of restoring those funds for FY26. My understanding is that the funds are sitting in a reserve account. The school committee probably won't know whether or not they're spending the money until May next year. At that point, even if we could get access to those funds again in May or June, doesn't really gain us much time before we're already into fiscal year 27. And of course, there's no guarantee that the Parks team would even be ready to go if we could magically get our hands on that money again. I just wanted to let you folks know, I'm going to keep following up on that conversation, but in the meantime, of course, you have full support of the Lincoln community to get that project going. And to ensure that the Lincoln funds are approved by town meeting, the design funds, and then, later the construction funds. But for the design funds, getting through town meeting for fiscal year 27, I think I understand that we're going to need the support of the school committee because we're talking about schools. And because of the potentially ongoing financial difficulties in the school's budget and some personnel changes to the school committee this past May, we might need to sell this project to them all over again. So we may need to go back and kind of represent our case to the school committee. And I just want to say, of course, you have my full support, our community's full support. And I hope we can look forward to the support of this team if we need to go back to school committee to kind of re-justify this project again. And that's it. We're here to help to make sure that this project does happen. Of course, we're eager and anxious to see that it happens. And I just wanted to thank you all for your continued support of our grounds, of our gardens. And Miley, thank you for your email earlier today. I did see that. And I look forward to working with you and Erin on some happy things, fall planting. Thank you so much for your time this evening.
Thanks, Sarah. Okay, are there other comments about the CIP projects from the public? I'm looking at the list. I don't see any. Do you see, Tim or
I do
me?
not see any hands raised at this point, no.
Okay. So, before we vote, I just don't know the Robert rules of whatever the orders are. Do I close the public meeting before we vote, or does the commission vote while the public meeting is open?
I believe we closed the public meeting.
Thank you. And Jessica, who knows all, is saying yes. She's nodding her head for those who can't see her. Thank you. So we will close. Seeing no more hands raised from the commissioners or the people who are attending from the public, we will close this meeting. And Mealy, we're voting on all of the years or just the
FY27?
Just FY27, which was presented to you in more detail, and of the recreation ones, that's only the filtration system, and we'll talk about the others in the next agenda item. Okay, so do I have a motion to accept the FY27 CIP projects as presented tonight?
So moved, Jane.
Thank you, Jane. Jane has moved to accept the CIP projects for FY27 as presented tonight. Do we have a second? And I see Lauren raising her hand, but you got to unmute.
Sorry, I didn't realize it was mute. So moved, seconded.
Thank you. And okay, so I will call people as I see you on the screen. So the first is Jane.
Yes.
Michael.
Yes.
Debbie.
Yes.
Teresa.
Yes.
Lauren,
Yes.
and I vote yes. Did I miss anybody? 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6. No, that's 6 votes. There are 6 commissioners here, and it was unanimous. Thank you very much. We will, that item on the agenda is over. Now we are moving to the Parks and Open Space CPA projects.
Great, thank you, Clara. And I will again share my screen. Give me just a second. Okay, great. You should be able to see my screen now, correct?
Correct.
Okay, great. So I will be going through the Parks and Open Space CPA projects for fiscal year 27. And we have 3 CPA projects this year, which again, I'll go through in detail in a bit. So as part of the CPA application each year, we have to submit the projects in 2 parts. First, we have to submit application for eligibility, and which we did earlier in August. Once the eligibility is submitted, CPA committee then approves or disapproves. If they approve for full submission. So I just want to let you all know that like all 3 of the projects that we're going to be looking at today for Parks and Open Space have been approved for full submission, and the deadline is in mid-October. So what we're really looking here today is to go through the projects and looking for the support, letter of support from the Parks and Recreation Commissioners as part of our application. So with that, so one of the first CPA projects that we will be applying this year under historic preservation category is going to be the Old Burying Ground. So as part of like our, overall restoration work for Old Burying Ground, as part 1 of that, like we had done tomb restoration on, which you can see very briefly on this side of the cemetery. But then, we have been also working to look at the restoration for the tombs on the other side. And currently, we've already started the process by working with our consultant, Structures North, who really specializes on historic preservation to develop construction drawings for restoration. And with this CPA grant, like our goal is take those construction drawings and then, actually implement that and do the restoration. The drawings are very close to completion at this point, and we expect the construction documents to be done sometime in fall, which is again like great timing in terms of the application to for CPA to kind of continue the project. The next project that we have for CPA this year is Lars Anderson Park. So if you all remember, there was a larger master plan done for Lars Anderson Park, and out of which there was phase 1 and phase 2 that was identified as, very critical need of implementation. Phase 1 was the restoration of Lagoon, the bridge, and Tempieto, and phase 2 was all the roadway and drainage work associated with the roadway. So as kind of extension of that project, like the goal of the CPA application under Open Space and Recreation is to really look at, how do we enhance now this with the improved drainage project, and Lagoon now enhance the stormwater resiliency of the park through green infrastructure, really like thinking about bioretention ponds and thinking about infiltration of the runoffs. So, so essentially we'll be focusing that, like not for all of the park, but really in two specific areas. So one is, the hillside from the Auto Museum down to the lagoon, that's where like the recent drainage work was done. And the other one is, at the junction of Avon Street and Goddard Avenue towards the back. Again, that was another area where we did the roadway and drainage work. So we really want to kind of expand on the work that we did as part of the phase 2 roadway drainage work, and think about the adding additional green infrastructure. So same in those areas, the two areas, also we have the two wet meadows. And, while the wet meadows there are great, like there's also quite a bit of work that needs to be done, specifically with, removal of a lot of invasives. And, with that removal, we want to look into developing some restoration plan for the meadows and enhancing the existing planting plan, and dovetailing with the green infrastructure, potentially complementing each other and expanding some of that wet meadow. And with the expanded like wet meadow, we want to think about some enhanced passive recreation of those spaces, because again, like Lars is one of this, again, unique and special places where we have so many varied experiences throughout the park. And wet meadows, like the meadows there, the green infrastructure there, will be a unique feature in years to come, and we want our community to really be able to interact with that and enjoy that. So we're thinking that we want to integrate like boardwalks, and think about like how those boardwalks integrate with the larger existing pedestrian pathway, and provide like more connectivity. And final CPA project for us for FY27 is continued tree inventory of all our parks and open spaces. So this will fall under the open space and recreation category as well. So in the past few years, 2 years, I should say, like we have been applying for tree inventory, and as part of that, like slowly, updating, making sure that like the tree data for all our parks and open spaces are up to date. So as part of this inventory, the goal is that an arborist will go and look at the full collect essentially the full data related to a tree. That includes like size of the tree, conditions of the tree, if there's any defects or pests or diseases, any signs they see, and then if the tree is in fair condition or not doing great, thinking about like what the plant healthcare strategies and recommendations could be. So that's it for me.
So before we open it up for discussion, because it's not on the agenda, Tim, are you going to say which ones you submitted to?
Well, that's what I was going to say. I'm about to make this more complicated. So the things that I talked about tonight are not for FY27. This is for future beyond. So I have no CPA projects for this upcoming FY27.
Thank you, because I represent Park and Rec on the CPA committee, and I haven't seen anything from you, so that's good news. Thank you. So, I'm going to ask a couple questions. Because CPA has funded tree inventory work in previous years, how much of that work has been done?
So we have gone through and done, a fair amount of tree inventory work. And I should say, also mention that out of that, we did have like for Lars Anderson Park inventory was one of the past CPA projects, and we do have some leftover funds from that. And we have been in direct communication with the CPA, with Lindsay at planning, and also CPA committee on, allowing us to continue the inventory through that fund. So what we have to go through as part of this application process is, assessing now how many parks do we have remaining, and how much of that can be covered through the inventory funding that's left over from previous years, and how much would we have to then apply for this year. So we're still going through that determination right now.
Okay.
But hopefully by October, we'll have, clear information, Clara.
That's great. I have another question, but I'll let other commissioners have a turn if they have questions. I don't see any hands. Oh,
Sorry.
Jane has one. Good.
Yeah, I do. Going back to Laz Anderson, I know you mentioned that the drainage has been improved, and I think my question is, and it's when I hear from in the community, and I've observed myself that the lagoon is actually dry
Yeah.
now since that. So my question to you is, I know that that was an improvement as far as drainage issues, but what does that do to the lagoon as far as it not really having the water that it once had in it? If you know, I think you know what I mean when I say that.
Yeah. And the lagoon is also, like not our over runoff is not feeding into the lagoon. So some of that is like tied into the amount of rainfall that we get. So if we go through drought situation, like the lagoon like dries up, and I was like told that there was one point last year, or might have been the year before, when the lagoon was completely dry, or it might have been during the opening time. It was completely dry, so it really varies on how much of rainfall that we see each year or each season.
Thank you for that, because I've been asked that a lot of times, and I
Yeah.
assumed it was rainfall, but I didn't know that.
Yeah.
And people are like, I thought they improved the drainage, but now we have no water, and it was 2 years ago. So
Right,
thank you for
right.
helping me be able to at least answer that when I get asked.
Yeah.
So thank you.
Absolutely.
And I have a question about the previous work on the drainage, the roadway, and some of the drainage had to be reworked because it didn't.
Yes.
Has that been completed now? Has
Yes.
it been corrected?
Yes.
I haven't been out there recently.
Yes, I'm very happy to report that, yes, it has been completed. And, we have been working on, after the drainage work was completed, like restoring some of the lawn areas on the sides of the roadway. And, it looks great. Like you'll see green, but there's a lot of weed right now there. So we will continue to kind of go through that in fall and, take out some of the weed and continue to restore that. But the overall, the roadway and the drainage work is complete.
Thank you. So seeing no more hands raised from the commission, I'll recognize Sean Lynn Jones, who has his hands raised, and then Tim or Mealy, if you can see if we have
Yeah.
other questions from the public, that'd be great. But Sean, why don't you go ahead?
Thank you very much. I'm Sean Lynn Jones, president of the Brookline Green Space Alliance, resident at 53 Monmouth Street, and also a town meeting member from Precinct 1. I first of all just want to briefly comment on the Lars Anderson green infrastructure application. I really welcome and applaud this, and I think there are a lot of great things here. And I would just say, I hope that there'll be robust community engagement on this one, because not only do we have the Friends of Lars Anderson Park, and that group is very interested in this park and this kind of project, but there are a lot of people in Brookline who are very interested in promoting green infrastructure. And some of them have probably reached out to you already. I emailed some of them when I first saw the CPA application, and they said they hadn't heard of it, but they were really excited. But I hope that, for the sake of A, getting their ideas, and B, making sure people understand green infrastructure and its contribution to our overall sustainability and resiliency programs, there will be that community engagement. My second comment, or maybe it's a question, is about the tree inventory application. And I guess if I were to put it in the briefest possible form as a comment, it would be, I hope everything possible is being done to use CPA or other funds that might be available for the beech trees on Longwood Mall. It strikes me that this is a potentially CPA eligible expense as I understand CPA eligibility, and it's up to the committee to make that determination, you can't use it for routine maintenance, but CPA funds have been used for tree planting, inventory, and management plans. And I know Bartlett did one already this year for the beech trees, but there may be some more work necessary. And in particular, these I think could be regarded as heritage trees that are culturally or historically significant, and that might increase their CPA eligibility, both under the open space and recreation category and the historic preservation category. So my pitch is, if it's at all possible to use CPA money or any other money for what I think are going to be some significant expenses for removal, planting, and maybe treatment of the beech trees on Longwood Mall, which, I mean, we have a lot of great trees in town, but those really, in some sense, are the most iconic and the crown jewels of our urban forest, and deeply troubled due to beech leaf disease. I hope that if CPA funding can help address that situation, it can be included in the application. If you can find other money, that's great too, though. But this is one source I thought we should exploit. Thank you.
Yeah. Thank you so much, Sean, for your comment. And I will just provide a brief response to the beech trees in Longwood Mall. So we already have funds allocated to that, and we've already gone through and done 3 treatments at this point, and a final treatment is remaining. So that will likely occur in the next 2 weeks. But I think you raised an excellent point about, thinking about inventory, not only for parks and open spaces, but, as part of that parks and open spaces, thinking about inventory of heritage trees specifically. But I 100% hear you, what you're saying in terms of, tapping into the CPA fund to really take care of our trees, as much as possible. Thank you so much.
And I don't have a budget, and I don't know how far along you are putting together these numbers, but I'm pretty sure that removing the trees that sadly need to be removed on Longwood Mall is going to cost a lot of money.
Yes.
And planting new trees there would not be cheap either. So those both might be eligible expenses.
Yeah, absolutely.
Do we have any other comments from the public?
There are no hands raised right now, no.
Thank you. We are not going to vote on this today, but we will need to vote in October because we need to show support as the commission for these projects if we hope to get them funded. So we will vote on these next month. So remember everything you heard here tonight. Okay, we are now up to number 5, where we're going to talk about the Green Dog subcommittee. We need one more commissioner on that committee. We currently have Jane serving on it, Teresa serving on it, and I'm serving on it. And we need one more commissioner. And so I would like to know from the others commissioners who are here.
Clara,
Jane, are you raising your hand?
I am raising my hand. Clara, is it another commissioner or a member of the public?
We need one more commissioner and one member of the public.
Sorry,
So we're doing
okay.
you gotta keep me, that's great. We gotta make sure we're following everything correctly. So we're gonna have 4 commissioners on it. And we need one more from the commissioner, and we also need one more from the general public. So I wasn't gonna call anybody out. I was just going to ask, and since there's 6 of us here, 3 are already on the committee, I need one of the other 3 of you to volunteer. And I don't see any. That means Michael or Debbie or Lauren. I'm putting you in the hot spot. Michael.
I could do that. I don't have a dog. I don't know if that matters, but
It's I think it's good because it's a program that's designed to have dog owners and non-dog owners being able to share the space. I'm on the committee and I don't have a dog. I think everybody, Jane has a dog.
I actually don't have a dog now, but I've had dogs in the past.
So Teresa's our only dog owner right
Yeah,
now,
right
but
now.
I think it's
I'm
really
dog empathetic.
Jane wished she had a dog, but anyway, so Michael, thank you very much. So Michael is now the new member, and we can we need to appoint a member of the public to the Green Dog program, and I think we were all sent quite a collection of applications from the public to be on the committee. There were many good they were all pretty good. Everybody very interested and enthusiastic and wanting to make this program successful. I had an opportunity to look at them with Millie, and I was going to suggest a name that talking to staff and reading them all, Jane Gilman, who's on page 31 of the PDF, if you want to look at it. Unless other commissioners wanted to recommend, we can vote on people, or if people are satisfied with Jane Gilman's application, it's on page 31 of the PDF if you want to quickly review it. Because there were so many good ones. I just thought she really understood the Green Dog program, had been an active member of it, does have a dog, and I think had really positive ideas, could work quite positively with the committee and with staff and be a good ambassador for it. I wanted to propose her, unless other people would like to put forth another name.
Hi, I will put forth another name, which seems like a similar application. So I think we're on a similar page here. It's also a dog owner and Green Dog user. Her name is Laura Jarrell, and she is also I think lives in a similar part of Brookline, and also a former town meeting member. But you know, it's hard to pick from this great group. I'm very surprised by so many people and so many strong opinions about dog waste containers that I saw in all of these applications. But I have seen Laura's leadership around town before as a member of her community, and I think she was also a great applicant. And I will also out myself. My dog sadly passed away, so I am no longer a dog owner. So none.
Sorry to hear that.
It's been a few months, but yeah.
Oh, sorry. You were a very responsible dog owner, Teresa.
Thank you. She was 11 and it was her time, but yes, thank you.
Still tough.
So, have people had time to read these?
I was overwhelmed with the number of applications, to be honest, and was just shocked this many people. I think it was like 37 in total. It was just a significant number of people.
Yes.
And, you know, all committed to wanting to make this program better. I don't know how you came down to each came down to the one you did. I respect that you were able to do that, quite frankly. So I'm sort of, I don't know how we want to go about this, but I do agree either one of them would be good candidates. I've worked with Jane more closely on other things than Laura, but that being said, I think they both would be probably very good.
Neely, do you have any comments on either of them?
Yeah. I think the thing I want to say is that, you know, as you mentioned, Clara, it's very important with the Green Dog subcommittee members as we go through now, start up the Green Dog conversation in fall, is to have a great, robust understanding on, you know, the fact that our parks have a shared space model, and then, you know, there's like not only one user group, there are multiple user groups, you know, that come in different times of the day, and understanding that shared use model is very important. And, I think like both Jane Gilman and Lara Gerald, it sounds like, represents that. So at this point, I would say it's really up to the commission to come to, the final candidate.
I mean, Teresa, do you want to, I mean, it sounds like you have a personal relationship, which is, is a good thing with Jane and not Jane, sorry, wrong name, with Laura. So I think you should nominate her.
Okay.
I don't personally know Jane. She just stood out and
Okay.
I liked her application.
I actually do know Jane as well. She lives in my neighborhood. I think she's one of my town meeting members, so I get her emails regularly. But yeah, I know Laura specifically through a school connection. So she is, I'm so sorry, my child is in the background, but she is also a parent of a young child. And I think that having that balance of parks and using playgrounds for children purposes with dogs, which has been a conflict we have seen at Griggs meetings and elsewhere in the past, is I think healthy to have that perspective, as she's a responsible green dog member and also a parent of a child that uses our park. So I will put forward Laura Gerald as my candidate to serve as a member of the public on the Green Dog Subcommittee.
Do we have we're just going to take a vote on it. So do we have a second?
I'm happy to second that.
Thank you, Jane. So I'm going to call names as I see you. So Jane, you're first.
Okay, yes.
Michael.
Yes.
Debbie.
Yes.
Thank you. Teresa.
Yes, thank you.
Lauren.
Yes, sorry.
And I vote yes too. So thank you all. So it will be Laura, and I say her last name again, please.
Yep, it's Laura and Gerald.
Okay, thank you. Well, that was well done. So now, what Public Green Dog Committee? We did that. We're on number 7. Someone correct me if I'm wrong. Appoint commissioner for the Pierce School Building Committee. So this is to let you know we need to replace Jim Carroll. I'm currently filling in for him, but I'm just doing that as we had meetings before we elected someone else. So what I really want to know is there some, the hard part's over, guys. So Jim put in a lot of hours and now they're just sort of implementing and things are moving along. So is there a commissioner who would like to be our representative on the Pierce School Building Committee?
I would.
Thank you, Lauren. So Lauren, I will send the email and I'll copy you to the person that sends out the announcements of meeting. Yes?
One question. The meetings take place generally when? I meant to ask that first.
Because I haven't even been to one yet, just waiting for them to happen. I know that sometimes they happen early in the morning from 8 to 8:30 or 8:30 to 9, sort of before a lot of people start work. And sometimes they're in the sort of before dinner hour.
Okay.
But I think they try to take the sense of the meeting when the hours are good, was my understanding.
Okay.
So maybe when I connect you to the person,
Yeah, I'll talk to them.
that would be great.
Okay.
So Lauren Bernard is going to be the commission's representative on the Pierce School Building Committee. Thank you very much. Okay, the next item, moving right along, is the appointment of 2 commissioners to the Ice Rink OPM and Designer Selection Committee. I have a few words to say on this. This is not our committee. It is the building department's project, their committee. By town law, Park and Rec is allowed 3 members. I am let's see, right now, as I understand it, I'm on it, and we need two more to replace Jim Carroll and John Pan, former commissioners who were on it, who are no longer on it. We've had a lot of lobbying from the Preservation Commission that they want to have a person on it, that they have to go to the building committee. That is not our decision. We cannot say, oh, we'll give one of our spots up for the Preservation Commission. It's my understanding we need 3 Park and Rec commissioners to serve on this committee. This current committee, where we're finding people for, it's not design review. This committee's job is to weigh in and vote on the proposals that come in for the design team and the OPM, which is the project manager. I don't know what the O stands for, but it's the owner's project manager. So he represents the owner that works with the design team.
So Clara, to clarify, this is a committee that's simply going to appoint or
Yeah.
hire. Okay.
We don't, I think we're going to recommend, this committee, not we, this
Recommend.
committee will recommend who the town should hire. It is not the design review committee, as I understand it. We will look to our Mealy and Tim
You are correct.
to confirm that. Okay, so that's what that is. And so looking at, it would be really good to have someone who's intimately involved with Lars Anderson and someone who knows architecture and the design profession and how design works. Even though this isn't design review, just to select, to understand what the different teams bring to it. So I was going to propose 2 commissioners. I was going to ask Debbie, as the former, or were you chair? I don't know what the head of the Friends of Lars Anderson, if she would like to be on it. And I was going to ask Michael, as one of our new design professionals on the commission, if he would like to be on it. And Debbie, would you like to comment?
Yes, I would love to be on that.
Okay, Michael?
Thank you.
Yeah, I was really hoping to get on that. That would be awesome.
That's great. Okay, so I think I'm allowed to just appoint people. We'll have another discussion when this committee is finished with its work, and we can consider all of us all over again. But I think having Debbie and Michael, and I would like to continue to serve on it to help. And I'm also a design professional to a registered landscape architect. So to continue, the next step we'll review again and see what commissioners would like to be on it, etc. So unless I hear anyone else wanting to discuss this, I mean, commissioners, you're welcome to comment, raise your hand, or just speak out. Seeing no hands and hearing no voices. Thank you, Michael. Thank you, Debbie. And we will report back to you as the committee gets moving. Okay. Now, the next item is for Tim, and he's going to report to us on the temporary closure of the Aquatic Center for repairs.
Correct. Thank you. Again, Tim Davis, Recreation Director. So a notice went out last week after a long time of planning that the Aquatic Center is going to go through a public closure, starting in November and extending through the rest of the year, through the month of December. The reasoning for this is that on the CIP for the town, through the building department as well as rec, the replacement of the dehumidification system, both on the interior ceiling as well as the roof, will be taking place finally, which is wonderful, to allow us for obvious benefits of temperature control and comfort for our patrons that visit the pool. Originally, a shutdown was not necessary. However, as we've been working with the contractor, and we got into kind of the weeds of piping and things that we need to do with the new system, scaffolding needs to be built within the building to replace the piping over the pools. So for obvious reasons, just based on that and for safety, we need to unfortunately close down the pool to the public. A few things on that closure. One, for the public to know, this closure will have no impact to current programs that are going on right now, swim lessons for the public, private swim lessons, as well as group exercise activities. All of those programs were scheduled with this in mind, so they will all end prior to this closure. So there's no threat for the public to lose time, especially for those coveted swim lesson times. When it comes to swim passes, both yearly swim passes as well as our punch cards 16 visit pool passes, we're mindful that this closure would affect what those individuals paid for. So we'll be automatically extending those pool passes for 3 additional months. And for our 16 pool pass visitors, give them 3 additional months to utilize what they purchased. Historically and traditionally, passes end at the conclusion of the calendar year. So we are, happy to extend those so that everybody can benefit from the pool. And then swim team, which is the other big one, both for the high school as well as the recreation department. Swim team will still be going on limited use of the pool up until closure. But Amanda, Katie, and their team have been working diligently to find alternative sites around town, bordering towns and city, for there to be alternative sites for practices and swim meets. That information is being finalized now and will be sent to the parents and registrants as soon as we have everything lined up. So we're doing our best. We're making sure that we're covering all of our bases. We recognize that this is super inconvenient, especially with the colder months of individuals who want to have an indoor space to swim. But we know that for the safety and for the condition of the building to be maintained, this project is necessary. And then additionally, as I alluded to earlier, we're looking at just shy of 2 months of a closure, and we are working very closely with the building department, both on the dehumidification project, but also with a punch list of items that we're going to take advantage of this closure to address. So small projects, some small, some relatively large, that have been on our minds to address for public comfort, for building safety, and general maintenance of our spaces. So we'll be doing smaller projects, punch list items that have been growing on our ever-growing list in the facility during that significant shutdown as well. Staffing, full-time staff, part-time staff, we're finding alternatives for our part-timers that we're exploring right now, so we can ensure that we can still provide them hours as they were hoping to be promised for work. And then our full-time staff will still have their hands full, both with what's going on at the building, but also preparing for the reopening, preparing for the implementation of new software, registration software, and things that we've been going through internally. So it's still going to be busy on our end, but again, this is just a notice to the public and to the commission and everybody else that we will be doing an official closure November and December. On Monday, this coming Monday, we have our next meeting with the contractor who will be doing the work. We're hopeful come Monday that we'll have more of an exact date or a narrowed down field of date that we can put out to the public so that everybody can plan accordingly. So just want to make you all aware of it. We're obviously very excited to get this done. We're very excited for our patrons to be able to, be even more comfortable in our space. But I'm happy to answer any questions, if any, about this. And I believe Amanda, our aquatics director, is also in the audience. I don't want to put her on the spot, but we're here for any questions that you may have. And I'm just going to stop sharing my screen so I can see everybody.
Thanks. Thank
Teresa.
you, Tim.
Sure. Just quickly, when you say the comfort of our patrons, do you mean like how warm it is in the stands, or do you mean
Just in general? Yeah, just in general. Over the summer, if you've been there, it is pretty rough. The current system can't keep up with the external heat getting into the building and the combination. So bringing it down to a comfortable level, both for the swimmers and the individuals in the stands.
Any other questions? Get a thumbs up from Teresa
Right.
and her team. Thank you. Well,
And again, once
it's
we have a more confirmed date, I'll share that out with the commission so everybody's aware.
thank you. Thank you. So the next item on the is about the naming committee. And are we okay to move on to that one? Tim, you okay?
All set.
We got I received an email from the chair of the naming committee, and then it was sent out to Pam Roberts as the chair of the naming committee, and she sent us, and you all have a copy of their guidelines and the structure they use for naming. And just at the end, it says, do we as a commission anticipate updating our manual in the near future? If so, they will replace our changes when they vote on their new language. You've had a chance to look, hopefully it was a little late, but a chance to look at their new language. There's really nothing new. It's really how in the past, can't remember if John Bain was on the naming committee or Jim Carroll. I can't even remember what commissioner was on it, but they would like us they want to vote on this in October. They would like to implement it in October, and they would like, let's see, I think they need our vote as I'm just flipping back between, they would like our vote of support. So if people have had a chance to look at it, and are comfortable voting, there's really nothing new or nothing changed from how we look at, and we don't actually do that. We make the recommendation to the select board, and they have to approve the name change. So are people comfortable voting on the naming outline as sent by the committee, the naming committee chair? I don't see any objections, so can we have a motion to accept the committee guidelines? They're called. They're really just called guidelines. Do we support, is the words they've used, their guidelines?
So I'll make a motion to accept the naming committee guidelines.
Thank you, Jane. Do we have a second?
I second.
Thank you, Debbie. Okay, I'm going to call you as I see you on the screen. Jane.
Yes.
Michael.
Yes.
Debbie.
Yes.
Teresa.
Yes.
Lauren. Got to unmute, Lauren, if you're there.
My button keeps sticking. Yes.
Thank you. And I vote yes.
Yes.
So it's 6 of the 6 present commissioners. Thank you very much. And the next we have the Recreation Department update. Tim goes first, and then Mealy will give us an update.
Great. Somewhat of a short one, but some stuff to talk about. First and foremost, just a staffing update, as we always start with. We're happy to report that we welcomed Meredith Forth today. Today was her first day. She is our new full-time rec leader in charge of adult and community ed. So this is something we've been talking about for the last couple months, but we are excited to welcome her today. Again, her first day. Meredith is coming to us from the school side. She is coming to us from Brookline Adult and Community Education from the schools. So she is bringing a host of knowledge, a Rolodex of contacts, and a structure that she is going to help us implement. She hit the ground running today, taking part in one of our association's events. We are meeting with the schools tomorrow on some of the programs that we have going on, and she will be at Brookline Day on Sunday. So she is diving in headfirst, and we're all very, very excited to welcome her to our team. The one vacancy that we still have is our rec custodian. We're not having much luck on postings there, so we have it open once again, and we will keep keeping our eye on who applies and hopes to fill that space. So we do have a contracted service right now, CleanCo, which is the town's contracted service that is picking up where we need help. So the buildings are still being cleaned, offices are still being cleaned, but we are still looking for that position. Programming update is the big thing as we come out of summer and we turn our focus to the fall and the winter. As mentioned, Adult Ed is officially with us, and Adult Ed officially opened for registration today. So between the disciplines of ceramics, darkroom, photography, painting, and some theater classes, we have about 12 to 15 programs that open for registration today across the town, multiple days in the evenings. So we're very excited again to see that come to reality and looking to, again, with Meredith, see that grow and be successful for the Recreation Department. Jake and his youth sports kicked everything off last weekend as well as this weekend. We got soccer, lacrosse, volleyball, and field hockey all going strong. Just the kind of the first wave of youth sports right now. So Jake is nice and busy, but our numbers are strong as we always hope. And he's got his head down every day and he's doing the work. So we're excited to see the kids out on the fields throughout the week as well as the weekends. Last weekend, we had our annual family camp out. This was postponed from the beginning of the summer due to those, I think we had 3 or 4 weekends straight of rain. So we were finally able to get our Lars Anderson camp out in with Autumn and her team, and it was a great success. This cool weather, as we're feeling now, was ever present last Friday. The weather and the rain didn't affect us either, so great success and hats off to her. And then as we look to the fall, we are looking forward to the return of the RAFT program. It's the department's teen-based program, school dances, open gym, field trips, after-school trips, half-day programs, vacation week programs. We're looking forward to this, kind of reinvention of it in the department with Andrew and bringing those programs back more consistently month to month. So all those are live on the website now, and we look forward to kicking those off early next month. So programming is going strong as always. A couple capital updates. The Putterham Woods Trail project. We had a successful bid opening. It actually came in about $130,000 below budget. So that is going to be on the schedule for September 16th at the select board for approval. And the work is to begin early October. So we're excited that that was successful. Unfortunately, the bigger project, the drainage project, we did not have a successful bid. All the bids came in much too high. So we are going back out to bid. We are actually reposting live tomorrow. And what we have done is we reevaluated and relooked at that bid with our landscape architect. We took out some of the nice to haves, and we are focusing mainly on the need to haves, that main channel, those main pieces of drainage to ensure that we can get that work done. So that is being posted tomorrow. We'll be opening bids in about 3 weeks. So that pushes our timeline back about 4 to 6 weeks. So we have our fingers crossed for somewhat of a mild winter. So we can keep, if we get a successful bid, which I'm hopeful we will, we'll get that work done in time for next spring. And then last, the one that's actively going on is the courtyard project over at Sewell. It's anticipated to be completed this month, potentially as early as the end of next week. We just have the surfacing that we need to do. We're finalizing the colors on that poured in place rubber surfacing. And then we have a couple structures that we need to install. So the shade structure as well as some musical chimes for the children out there to take advantage of. It's coming out beautiful. It's exceeding all of our expectations. So we are very excited to get the kids out there to use it. We have a planned ribbon cutting during our family welcome back to school night on the 24th. And once those details are confirmed, I'll send it to everybody on the commission and the public so that they can come see the great work that we are doing. And then last but not least, but most importantly right now, we have Brookline Day on Sunday. So 11 o'clock to 3 down in Coolidge Corner. The rec department will be putting on our annual celebration. Our numbers are even higher than last year. We have 110 vendors, both business and nonprofit, registered to table and get the word out about their businesses, all local, all residential businesses. We have a full mini town hall. 15 town hall departments, plus everybody from Parks and Open Space and DPW. And then our artist corner that we're working with economic development with, kind of coming back with a big resurgence. We'll have 15 local artists selling and putting out their goods and their displaying their pieces of art for the public to enjoy. So right there, we got about 140 vendors for everybody to enjoy. Face painting in the kids zone, inflatables, henna tattoos. We have a full lineup at the stage. We are introducing more food trucks this year to complement all the restaurants on Harvard Street, and so much more. So much more, as always. So Cadence in our office, she's actually still here right now, on a call with a bunch of vendors doing their pre-event meeting, is really working hard. A whole team, full team effort. We will have 27 of our full-timers out there on Sunday, making sure everyone's having a good time. And we are excited to see everybody. And I hope you all will join us. And that's all I had.
Thanks, Tim. The Saturday is supposed to be sunny, high of 72. Everybody should be there.
Sunday.
I'll be out of town, but it's a great, I've gone every other year. It's fantastic. So I hope all the other commissioners can come. Thanks. So, Mealy, you want to give us your
Yes.
update?
I will. Okay, great. So I'm going to start off with some staffing updates as well. We have few open positions, the forestry zone manager position that's been open, and also parks craftsman position is open. And we're now also looking for a new position for a part-time landscape architect. And if you know of anyone, just let us know. We're hoping to expand our team. So I'll start off with some construction updates on Amory Playground. So we are going through a lot of work at Amory over the last few weeks. As you all know, like all the demolition work is complete at the tennis court, and we're now diving into some work within the tennis court. The posts for the tennis court fence have been installed, and we've also completed the drainage work on this side of the project. We're now working on the concrete walls, stairs, and curbing. And I do also want to share that the target is for Cape and Island to start working on the tennis court surfacing, irrigation, and on the related nets and posts by the end of September. So our contractor GEM is like pushing really hard to meet that deadline, and so far so good. We're on target. So having said that, the plan is for our main general contractor to move out of the tennis court area, then move on to the parking lot, and Cape and Island to get into the tennis court. So with that, the parking lot and Hulse Pond area will be closed off in September, which means that the circulation and access to the fields and the remainder of the park space that's open right now will look a little bit different. So again, I'd like to reiterate that the fields will be open throughout construction. The baseball field will be open. The only access to the park once the parking lot closes is going to be through Amory Street. There's a set of stairs along Amory Street that goes down, and unfortunately, that will not be an ADA accessible entry. However, it can be the access is open. And because the parking lot is going to be closed, the only public parking will now be along Amory Street and along Beacon Street. So we will also be sharing this pedestrian access diagram through our social media. Also, we'll be placing that around the site, through in the construction fences, and also we'll be sharing in the website so that the word gets spread around with the access being, a little bit challenging over the next couple of months. Similar to that, Schick Park is also under construction, going through a lot of progress. It's a little bit behind schedule. However, we anticipate that it'll be caught up fairly soon. All the demolition is complete, all the survey work and staking work is complete, and the drainage work is currently ongoing. And once the drainage work is complete this week, we will be moving on to doing the form work for the stairs, the timber wall footings, and all of that will start next week. A few other projects that we have under documentation, a brief update on that. Monmouth Park Phase 2, we're working on wrapping up the construction documentation. For Skyline Park, we have received the 50% construction documents and is still under review through our engineering team. And Greg's Park, again, thank you to all the commissioners who were part of the Greg's Park Design Review Committee. We had, again, yet another fairly robust design review meeting where we got amazing feedback. And the next DRC meeting is going to be October 28th. However, like before we get there, we have launched a second survey where we shared several concept designs for several elements of the park that we are looking to gain feedback from the community. So if you would like to take the survey, please scan this QR code and take the survey. And we'll be, doing a lot of public canvassing over the next several weeks. I would say till end of September. That's when the survey will be closing. So we'll be at Brookline Day, Farmers Market, different events everywhere. You'll see us everywhere asking about feedback on the design for Greg's Park. Few other updates on events. We have, again, like fall is very busy. We have a couple of things going on. Stewardship Sundays, like we have now final 2 days remaining in fall. So if you wanted to be out there doing some trail rebuilding, now is your time to go out there. We have one in 20th of September and one on 19th of October. We also have Community Planting Day coming up for Albert Edward Scott Memorial Square at Freeman Square. So this will be in September, on September 21st, 10 a.m. to 12 p.m. We are also very, very excited about this Ridley School Miyawaki Forest planting. So as you all know, we did our first Miyawaki Forest planting in Brookline and Brookline Ave Playground. So now this will be our second one, which will be held in 5th October, 10 a.m. to 1 p.m. So please join there. It'll be a lot of fun planting hundreds of tiny saplings of trees and plants all over. Well, not all over, one section of the Ridley School. Then we also have our event at Eat, Rake, and Play at Greg's Park. Again, this is like part of our seasonal cleanup that the Greg's Park Neighborhood Association puts together. And we will be out there again, to take any feedback on Greg's Park design process as well. And that's it on my end. Any questions?
I'm trying to unmute so I can thank you, Mimi. Thanks, that's great. So and when we get our meeting notes, will some of those dates, I was trying to write down October 5th, and anyway, I didn't get it done in time. What can I say? No. So where at the Ridley School is the Miyawaki Forest going to be? So
it's at the field, like towards the back, towards the field, like where we have the ramps and the stairs. It's like in that in that area at the back.
Okay, cool. Cool. All right.
I had a quick question for Tim. I was just looking to find the adult education stuff online, and it could have been I just did too quick of a glance, but I was unable to find it. I registered on the website and it didn't have courses yet. I don't know, maybe I'm too early or something.
Nope, everything's up there. So register.brooklinerec.com is the registration site. If you click on programs, they're scattered about. So they're in there. I can send you a list directly if you're looking for something.
That would be pretty cool. Thank you.
Got it.
Any other questions or comments? Any other business to bring up? All right, we are way ahead of the game. No, I hear no complaints about that.
No
So
complaints.
thank you, Lord. Do we have a motion to adjourn?
So moved, Jane.
So moved.
Okay, either one.
We'll let Lauren move it. You want to second it, Jay?
Sure.
Okay, moved
Oh, I'll
by
second it.
Lauren.
Sorry, I'll be official. I am seconding a second.
Thank you, Jane. Moved by Lauren, adjourn, and seconded by Jane, and I'm going to call names. Jane,
Yes.
Michael,
Yes.
Debbie,
Yes.
Lauren,
Yes.
Teresa,
Yes.
and I say yes, and I say welcome to Michael and Debbie, who are
Yes.
now both officially here, and it's great to
Welcome.
have
Yeah, welcome.
a full commission. Thank you all, and I'll see you next month, if not before.
Good.
Bye, Claire. Bye,
Thank you
everybody.
Very
Bye.
much.
Bye. Thank you,
Bye.
everyone.